My poor car's in for some TLC over here in Newcastle, in the big city. So I've taken the opportunity to do something a bit different. I'm going to do some architectural photography, possibly some street photography, and even some wildlife photography. There's a unique colony of birds which makes its home in Newcastle every summer, and I'm hoping they haven't gone yet, but we'll see. And I'm going to be doing some black and white. I'm going to be using DxO's Nik Collection 9 Silver Efex. Now, full disclosure, I have been given this software by DxO, but I haven't been paid to use it. And it's not going to be so much a review as me getting to know it. I haven't really had a chance to have a proper look yet, but I'm going to see what I can do once I get some images this morning. So I've got a 50 minute walk into the city from where I left the car. You don't have to endure that. So by the magic of editing, I'll see you in a few seconds. Haven't quite got to the centre of Newcastle just yet. I'm opposite the Staithes in Gateshead, and the tide is out. So the River Tyne is tidal all the way across to Newburn, if I remember rightly. And at the moment, it's just mud flat, which is quite interesting. But lots of channels in the mud and lots of birds walking across those channels. So I think there's a little bit of scope here for a quick shot. They're not the birds I mentioned before though. I think these are just terns by the looks of it. Mrs. T is the ornithologist, so she'll be able to confirm that later. But there are lots of reflections and, yeah, nice shapes. So I think this could be worth a quick snap. I have this shot set up of the King Edward VII railway bridge, and the light's fantastic. I mean, it's very contrasty now. It's very soft like before, the clouds have disappeared, which could be good for black and white. But because of that contrast, I might struggle with the exposure. The shadows are very, very dark at the moment. So, just to give me enough headroom later, when I do my black and white conversions, I want to retain some detail in both the shadows and the highlights. I'm going to do a standard shot, an HDR shot using the OM1's built-in HDR mode, and I'll bracket as well, just to give me enough choice later to pick the optimum image. So before the sun tracks around any further and I lose that side light and it becomes more of a backlight, I get the shot taken and we'll take a look at it. This is the final shot in Adobe Lightroom, and it is very contrasty, more contrasty than I'd realized at the time. So I have done some basic adjustments in Lightroom, and I'm going to edit it from there in Silver Efex 9. Now you can run Silver Efex as a standalone app, but I think that I have Adobe Stockholm Syndrome, so I'll probably start from Lightroom most of the time. So anyway, it's quite simple and straightforward. Just edit in Silver Efex, and I'm going to edit a copy using the Lightroom adjustments I've already made. I think for this shot, I'm going to go for a very industrial look, very gritty and grainy, possibly with a border, we'll see. So what I want to do first is apply a film type. And what I really like about Silver Efex is that there are different film types based on old black and white films. Now I used to shoot with Ilford HP5, so that's my go-to. So I'm going to find that. Where are we? Ilford HP5, which has really increased the contrast. So I do like that, but I want it to be slightly more open. So I can adjust the curves like so if need be. Just open up the shadows a little bit. I can also tweak the sensitivity of color. So I might just darken the reds down a little bit. Have a look, see what the blue does. So that should make the sky a bit darker, which, yep, I quite like that. So that's essentially mimicking using different filters on your camera at the time of shooting. Now let's have a look at the grain. So I'm going to turn on the grain panel, and I think I might actually increase that. I might make it more grainy and make the grain size slightly larger. Again, just to give it that more industrial look. And then add a border. So again, I'll turn on the border panel this time. Turn borders on, and so I think that first one, yes, and I do like that. Now when it comes to colour, I tend to try and create images that look natural, but when it comes to black and white, I think there's a bit more latitude, so I'm quite happy to experiment. But I think I'm happy with that, so I'll apply that, and that's that done. I'm underneath the Metro Bridge at the moment, and I think it's looking splendid in the, well, it's mid-morning light. But there are some interesting clouds rolling through, which is adding some interest to the sky. So I'm going to shoot handheld, because I think I'm quite a formal photographer. I like my tripods, and I like to get my verticals vertical and my horizontals horizontal. But I think every so often it pays to be a bit wacky, a bit sort of off the wall, and let your hair down, which is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to look for some abstract kind of shots, some shots that I wouldn't normally take, but it's a way to have fun, which I'm going to enjoy that, I think. Now the bridge is blue, as is the sky, which isn't ideal for black and white photography. You actually want some colour contrast, and we'll come back to that later. However, the metro trains are yellow, so if I time it right, I haven't timed that one right, there's one going over right now. If I time it right, get a shot of the train going over the bridge, that'll give me the colour contrast I think I need. So I'm going to wait for some interesting clouds, a metro train, and then I'll take the shot. I don't ask for much in life, do I? If I get a good shot, we'll come back to it after this. I didn't have to wait around very long for a metro train to come along. They do come along quite frequently. However, I don't think it's that visible in the shot. Not to worry though, the bridge is still interesting. However, it does give me a slight problem in that the colour of the bridge is very similar to the sky colour, which could make it quite tricky to differentiate the two in a black and white shot. We'll see. Now we're in Silver Efex 9, and I can see immediately that the tones of the bridge are very similar to the sky. There is a slight difference. Now, there is slightly more cyan in the bridge, so I could use the cyan slider just to tweak things a little bit. But that is also affecting the sky ever so slightly. And again, the blue has some effect on both the bridge and the sky. So I'll reset those. So what I'm going to do is open the basic adjustments panel, and I'm going to create a mask. In this case, I'm going to use the depth mask because there is some nice differentiation between the distance from the bridge to the camera and the sky to the camera. So I'll select that, and then I'll just click in the sky, and that generates the mask for me. However, I want to adjust the bridge. I want to make it a bit brighter. So in this case, I just invert the mask. So now it's just selecting the bridge. And then I can just tweak things slightly. I still want the shadows under the bridge to be quite dark. I do want the structure of the bridge to stand out against the sky a bit more. It's not a great shot, but it does show you how masking can help you adjust very specific areas of an image. Well, I'm up on the Tyne Bridge now, which is currently being repainted, so it's covered in scaffolding, and isn't looking its best. And I can't get to the side I was hoping to get to because of the works. But I've come up here because it's one of the highest spots in Newcastle where you can see the kittiwakes. And these are seabirds, and they're coming to Newcastle in the summertime to nest and to roost and to make new kittiwakes. And I believe it's the largest colony of kittiwakes that nests so far inland. I think kittiwakes tend to be at the coast, but they found a real home here in Newcastle and in Gateshead on the various buildings and bridges along the Tyne. So I'm going to find a few examples of kittiwakes using my long lens, poking through the fencing that's up on the Tyne Bridge at the moment, and see what we can come up with. I can hear them. I'm not sure whether you can hear them on the soundtrack, but I can definitely hear them. And there are a few, but I'm not getting the best vantage points, like I say, because of this repair work. Hey ho, it'll be done soon and the bridge will look splendid. I shot a good few photos of the kittiwakes from the Tyne Bridge, but I think this is the one I'm happiest with. Actually looking towards the arches of the Tyne Bridge with a kittiwake just flying over it. And you can see from the photo just how battered the poor Tyne Bridge is currently looking. But that will be fixed. So as before, I'm going to open it in Silver Efex, editing with some of the Lightroom adjustments already applied. I've applied noise reduction already. And I think for this image, I'm going to go for a split toned effect. So that's where you add a tone or a colour to both the highlights and the shadows. Quite often, it's a slightly different tone. Traditionally, you would add blue to the shadows and a warmer colour, such as yellow, to the highlights. And that's what I'll do with this image. So, go to toning. The silver hue, the slider here, are the shadows. And the paper is the highlights, because the paper is the white that would show through where the paper hasn't been exposed to light. So I'm going to add some blue to that first. Let's try it about there. And then the strength slider alters how much is applied. So let's try that. I think that's more green than blue, so we'll just move that across a little bit. And what I want is a sort of steely colour, like a steel colour, which is how the sky felt at the time. And I think that's about right. So I do the same for the highlights, but this time I'm going to add yellow, so let's try that. And then once again, this just adjusts the strength. Now obviously you can go too far and it looks really garish. I don't want that, I want it to be slightly more subtle. And in fact it's easier to apply the strength fully and then shift. And I think that's probably about right, so I'll pull the strength back there. Yeah, and I think that's the effect I was after. So yeah, I think that's about right. Now you can actually adjust the balance, so you can shift it more to blue or to the highlights. But to be honest, I think it was about right in the centre, so I'm going to leave it, where are we? It's 0%. Split turning is one of those effects that you either like or don't like. I quite like it, and I think I'm happy with that. So we'll apply those adjustments and then back into Lightroom, and that's the two images side by side. Before I get to the next location, I should just perhaps explain that I have been shooting in RAW all day, which I do anyway. And I'll be importing the RAW files from today into Lightroom, which you may already have seen depending on how I've edited this video. Now in terms of black and white, I don't do a huge amount of black and white photography, but when I do, I'll quite often switch the picture mode, or whatever the term is on your particular camera system, to black and white or monochrome. But in this instance, I've left everything in colour, so what I've been seeing on the back of the camera has been in colour. And I did that because I didn't want any preconceptions about how I was going to work on those files in Silver Efex. Basically, I just want to jump into Silver Efex, have a play, see what I can do without having my ideas already formed. And behind the Sage, the Glasshouse, it changed name recently and I still haven't quite got used to the idea. Anyway, I found this, which I think will make a good black and white subject. It's very colourful, but there's a good range of colour tones that I think will map quite nicely to different grayscale values. At least that's the plan. We'll see. In terms of the shot, it's going to be very straightforward. It's a flat subject, so f4, f5.6. I don't need to worry about depth of field that much. So I'll get it shot and we'll take a look at it. So this is the final shot in Lightroom. Once again, we'll edit in Silver Efex. Editing a copy, I've already run noise reduction on this image. And what I'm going to do this time is compare. I'm going to split compare. And this allows me to see the original as well as the edited version, quite simply. So we'll leave that in the middle for the moment. And what I'm going to do is adjust each colour in turn. So I'll try the reds first, put over there. So let's see. So I can either darken the reds relative to every other colour in the image, or brighten them. So at the moment, I think obviously I want them darker than the yellow. So I might just brighten up the yellow, darken the reds down a bit more. Actually, there's very few greens, in fact no greens at all. Nothing's happening when I move this slider. Cyan, there's a lot of cyan. And I think that needs to be quite bright, so I'm going to brighten that up, but perhaps darken the blue relative to the cyan. And there is some violet, and again I think I'm going to brighten that up. And I think that looks okay. Right then, apply that, and let's have a look in Lightroom. So, what do I think of Silver Efex? Well, there are things I can do in Lightroom more quickly at the moment, but I really like the film simulation. That takes me back to the days of using Ilford HP5 and FP4, and I think that's what I'm going to concentrate on. I'm going to play with that a bit more. But I think there's real potential there. I think I'm going to enjoy using this. Well, I fell from the garage and the car is now ready to be picked up, which is good. So I'm going to start on the long walk along Scotswood Road. I'm going to do that. So I'll end the video here. Now you're in the privileged position of knowing what I think of Silver Efex before I do. I've not really had a chance to play with it yet. That's for when I get these files back home. But from the little I've seen of it, I think it looks quite interesting. So yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy that. If you have liked the video, please do like it. If you have any questions or comments, please do pop them below, whether that be about Silver Efex or about Newcastle, my hometown, where I was born some years ago. I don't want to think about it. Now, in terms of next week's video, I'm going to be in North Northumberland for the next few days. So that's probably where that'll come from. Not sure yet, we'll see. But in the meantime though, hope you have a very pleasant week, and I'll see you in 7 days' time.